Okay, quick overview of where and how to drop my anchor. This is a bit more complicated, but like in any kind of setting, I'm gonna check my charts, navionics in this case, way before I even get to my anchorage. The little anchor signs that you see there are not where boats are currently. These are places that others have anchored. I'm going to look at other options around, and the numbers you see is the depth of the water. Now, typically I like to be somewhere around 15 to 20 feet deep, so I can do free dive in case. As I get to my approach, I just want to get the boat ready, lower the sails, and from there do a depth check. In this case, I'm at 96 feet of water. I have about 7-foot draft on my sailboat, so I got a fair amount to go still, but sometimes it gets shallow really fast. On approach, and here I have a trip line, which is a secondary device to help you pull your anchor, because this is a really tricky anchorage with a lot of boulders that swallow people's anchors, so it's an added precaution. I go to the bow of the boat, get the anchor ready, which means kind of get it prepared, get the chain on the flywheel, make sure that all the systems are functional. I, depending on conditions, might get the anchor hanging down, depending on how much swell there is, because the anchor would bounce back and forth and hit the boat. In this case, I'm just going to put it a little ways down, but it's ready to go. I'm going to double check, make sure my remote is working. I could lower it manually, but I do like to have my remote ready in case I need to pull it up for whatever reason, especially in tight, small anchorages like that. Then I got to go back to the cockpit. In this case, I'm going to slow down the boat's progress. And of course, you don't know how many boats are going to be there. I do a quick depth check, still at 96 feet, and keeping an eye out for, sometimes anchorages don't have room. This is a pretty small, tight anchorage. This whole time I'm checking my navionics back and forth all the time. Now, this one is not on my phone, on my device, which I'm using to film. I'm at 60-foot depth now, getting closer. I noticed there's a number of boats there. There's 2 boats. There is all sorts of obstructions in this bay, which makes it limited around where one can drop anchor. There's a lot of sandy bottoms. So again, I'm doing another depth check, making sure, that this is all very, very meticulous work in this sense. I'm roughly at 22 feet deep. I can get ready here. I like to be 15 to 20, like I said, so that I can free dive in case there is a problem and the anchor gets stuck. Obviously by then all the sails are down. I lock the steering wheel, put it in neutral, then I go back to the bow of the boat, and this is where I'm gonna drop the anchor. In this case, I also have to deal with the trip line, which is just it's just a bit of an added step here. So here I'm lowering my chain, 50-foot of chain. I like to make sure, regardless of how much depth there is, that my full chain is at the bottom. In this case here, because the chain is attached to rope, a 3-strand rope, I want to make sure that my rope isn't at the bottom. I don't want it to be hitting against rocks, jagged rocks, which could cut into the rope. So there's a bit of meticulous figuring out where my rope is in relation to the bottom of the water. And from there, I would go back to the back of the boat, into the cockpit. I'm going to monitor, make sure that I'm at the proper depth that I want to be, and then I would set the anchor by putting it in reverse and making sure that the anchor digs in. But I'm not going to do that here because this is a rocky, bouldery bottom. So I'm at 16, 17 feet deep, which is ideal, perfect for me. You also got to be cognizant of how much rod or rope chain scope you're putting out there, because if you put too much and your boat swings, you might be at the risk of hitting other boats who are not putting as much. So something to always kind of keep in mind and monitor during your first hour.